Okay, here I am. It's the middle of December 2010, and a few days ago I did a first Blog Talk Radio telephone call-in tarot show, and it went quite well, so I've decided that I'm going to do 2 a week. Two 30-minute shows. There's going to be one at 3 o'clock on a Monday afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, and the second one, again for half an hour, is going to be 11 o'clock at night, Eastern Standard Time, on Thursdays. So 2 30-minute shows. I'll put the URL on screen. It's blogtalkradioshow.com, John Ballantyne, and you can listen live or you can listen in archive. So after the show is taking place, if you go to the site and click on play now or click on the little arrow, you'll find that you can listen to the show. You can also call in, well, not when we're not live, but you will be able to call in. So I'm happy to deal with questions that people have. So that's one thing. And the second thing is that after the show I thought somebody called in and she asked about what to do with or how to make sense of the Ten of Swords card in the 8th house in a horoscope spread, and she wasn't quite sure what to do. So I realised afterward that instead of, I wanted to mention a couple of things that I hadn't thought about on air, but rather than write them all out and explain it all, because you move this to here and that to there and all that, it was going to be enough like easier just to make a video. So I made an 8-minute video that is on the tarot blog, and it's 21stcenturytarot.blogspot.com. So that's that, and I kind of like the idea of the blog afterwards, so that people can have follow-up questions, or I can deal with follow-up information, or people can have comments or ask questions about the information that was covered in the radio show. So that's basically it. So if you go to the Blogspot site, you'll find the video there, but I'm going to splice it onto the end of this little introduction here. So that's a couple of things. Live show, 3 o'clock Monday afternoon, 11 o'clock Thursday night. If you want to listen, by all means. If you want to call in, do that. And if you want to read about what happened and maybe begin a discussion or participate in a discussion, you can do that at the blog spot. And that's it. So coming up in a moment is going to be, what do you do with, what sense do you make of the Ten of Swords in the 8th house of a horoscope spread? Thank you.
Okay, this is about Debbie's situation where she wasn't quite sure what to make of the Ten of Swords in the 8th house. And this is a horoscope spread. I've used this little mini deck here. It's a rider deck, but it means that I can show you all 12 cards easily on screen. So you start here. This is the 1st house, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, 11th and 12th. You start here and go around this way and lay the cards like that. So you've got the basic shape here of a circle. Okay, that's one point. Then the first card is over here, and that's the self, right? So I'm going to use a regular sized deck here just to illustrate it. So Debbie had the 3 of Pentacles on the house of self. So this card is describing what Debbie herself is like at the moment. And so you look at that card and it's describing the person, their strengths and weaknesses, what comes easily to them at the moment, that kind of thing. So it's describing her as she is at the moment. It can change because at any particular time in life, certain characteristics are more in the forefront than others. And this is telling you what's important for Debbie to know about now, because she chose the card and the reading was for her. So that's the self, and it happens to be the 3 of Pentacles. And the second card that goes down here and shows her value sense. So that's what she cares about at the moment. Right, it could have been another card, but it happens to be the Temperance card. So she cares, let me check the focus. Okay, so she cares about, and then if you remember from the broadcast, I spoke about the Temperance card being alchemy. And so she understands and appreciates the fact that you are, or we all are, a number of different parts of our personality. But there are certain times in life when we're given conditions and difficulties and problems and challenges maybe, where if we can work through it and come out the other side, then we're an awful lot more together and stronger and better and more knowledgeable and more wise because of what we've been through. And so Debbie can understand this at the moment, and if she goes through, if she makes herself stay in a difficult situation rather than getting out of it quickly, then she's going to learn a lot by staying in it. So every minute that she stays longer, or every minute she stays longer after having wanted to leave, good things happen ultimately for her, and she becomes that much better. And that's what you need to, that's a good way to begin, because over here is the 8th house, and it will happen to be the 10 of Swords, right? But instead of just starting there, we've got, I picked a couple of other cards here. The first card could have been the 9 of Swords reversed, and the value sense could have been the Tower reversed. That's a very different person with different concerns, right? Because it's it's the Tower upside down, the 9 of Swords reversed. Very different, but Debbie at the moment is the 3 of Pentacles and the Temperance card. So she's willing to go through change, let's say, because the Temperance card is here. Whereas if the Tower is reversed here, you're not that keen to experience the need to dismantle stuff and reassemble it. Okay, so we go over here, and that's the 8th house, rather, the 10 of Swords. Okay, this is a horoscope. It happens to be the horoscope of Margaret Thatcher. So this is the 8th house up here, and one of the things about charts is you can read them from the point of view of any house. So if we want to look at Margaret Thatcher's 8th house, we take this and we turn it around to put the 8th on the ascendant, so that the 9th house, which is here, right, after the 8th, that becomes, this is now the first, this becomes the value sense that relates to the 8th house. And so if we were to take that, okay, before we do that, we can shift things around a little bit like that. And at this point, we're sort of moving it back. We want to put the value sense here. And so if Debbie wants to understand her own values, we've got the Temperance card here, and the indication is that she wants to become more than she is at the moment, right, because it's a Temperance card. But opposite the values, these are the other people involved. The 7th is the opposite as the other people involved. So this is Deborah and her death and her values. How do other people react? And it's the contrast is, on the one hand, she's interested and keen to change and develop and grow. How do other people react? They feel a bit threatened because of the nature of this particular card. They don't see the point of what she's doing. So she ought not to be surprised if people are puzzled or uninterested in what it is that she's doing, because they don't get it. They're fearful, they're afraid, they don't see much value in it. And that's by considering her values and turning the cards to fit her value sense. Okay, so I've turned everything to the 4 cards that I know. So this is Deb's death and regeneration. And so she's coming to the end of a cycle and about to begin a new one. Her values, as they relate to death and regeneration, is a card of victory. She's confident. And she expects that she's going to be successful in whatever kind of activity it is that she undertakes. Because of this card here. If this card had been upside down, then you're looking at quietly confident, but maybe a little bit of doubt being there. And then we go on to here. The 6th is the services you're meant to perform. And so what services is Deb meant to do in order to regenerate herself? And here we've got the 3 of Pentacles. Maybe it means giving cash away to charity, or maybe it means volunteering her time and being of service to other people. And then we've got the other people involved in her death and regeneration. Not people generally, but specific individuals who are involved in her activities and her actions are going to encourage her, because it's a temperance card, and they're going to maybe be able to help her to get results quicker than she would on her own. So partnerships and other people are going to be important for her to regenerate herself. So that's what I wanted to say about that.